You are Locked On Tigers POSTCAST, part of Locked On Sports Detroit on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Make it 3 wins in a row for the Detroit Tigers and a series dub secured in the first 2 games against the defending World Series champion Texas Rangers. How about that for a Tuesday evening? Welcome one, welcome all. A live Locked On Tigers postcast begins right now. As always, fired up to be with you. My name is Jake Riepma. You can follow me on Twitter at Jake_Riepma. I was all over the X today, especially at the end of that game. Fired up. My goodness, that was egregious between McKinstry and Riley Greene, but did not cost the Tigers, and we will give those two guys their flowers for how well they hit the ball at the ballpark tonight. Just the defense there got a little scary at the end, not going to lie. But nonetheless, it's a 3-1 win for the Tigers. We are going to talk about it and break it all down. Jack Flaherty was lights out. The bullpen was exceptional, and McKinstry and Greene power the offense. But before we go any further, this is Locked On Sports Detroit, your one-stop shop for your post-game reaction and analysis. So make sure you do me a favor and subscribe to the Locked On Sports Detroit YouTube channel. You can find us wherever you get your podcast, the audio-only version as well. And like always, we thank you for making us a part of your day and your first listen every day, free and available wherever you get your podcasts, of course, on YouTube, all part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's show made possible by eBay Motors. From brakes to exhaust kits and beyond, eBay Motors has over 122 million parts to keep your ride or die alive. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to bring home that big win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay, guaranteed fit, only available to U.S. customers. All right. For almost, I would say 9 2/3 innings, this was as much fun as I've had watching a Tigers game in recent time. It was just one of those games that made me feel really, really good about being a Tigers fan. Great pitching. We'll talk about Flaherty's early exit. I believe the broadcast showed him stretching and whatnot, so there's some speculation why he left after just 60 pitches. I'm sure that explanation is being given to the beat writers right now as we are live immediately following the conclusion of every Tigers game. But that's the big one. The offense does just enough. Riley Greene, 11th home run of the season. He hit 11 all of last year. So great to see the power numbers from Riley Greene. And Zach McKinstry, we were on triple watch for a cycle watch after the triple, I should say, because he had the home run and then the triple, and 2 big hits for Zach McKinstry, although a day in the field he'd like to forget. He had the error on the ground ball. That was the first base runner Flaherty allowed, and then the error. I know it's called a hit, but the miscommunication there in the 9th is just egregious. That can't happen with Riley Greene. But I love getting to the comments right away, and I see all the comments coming in on the live YouTube stream. That's what it's all about. Let your voice be heard. Get into the comments and let me know what you're thinking. That's now 3 wins in a row for the Tigers, and they secure the series win over the defending World Series champion. And this is not tomorrow's game. If you remember back to the early portion of the season where the Rangers took 3 of 4 at Comerica Park, if the Tigers can complete the sweep tomorrow, then they take the season series over the Rangers. So we will have to wait and see there. But you love seeing the victory. 7-3 in the last 10. Are we starting to cook a little bit? Good question there from Born Cool. I had that exact same thought because I thought to how I felt after the second loss in Boston. It was kind of that head scratching feeling of like, kind of as Wojo, if you are a local in Detroit, Wojo with the Detroit News, and Bob Wojnarowski, who we love to call Wojo, a former colleague of mine at 97.1 The Ticket, described it as the 500 treadmill. That's just where they were. And it felt like after those 2 losses in Boston, that's back where they were heading. But lo and behold, the Tigers now above 500 at 31-30 after taking the first 2 here at Globe Life Field in Arlington. Get a few more of the comments. Love them. Keep them coming coming in. That's what makes it fun. Demetrius McNeil get the win. Yeah, you wanted that shutout. That's why I was so mad with that miscommunication between Riley Greene and Zach McKinstry. Just so uncharacteristic of both of those guys. They both know better. Riley Greene got a bad jump, but it didn't take away from the fact that he still could have made that catch. And, you say the shortstop's the captain of the infield. Obviously, the center fielder, the captain of the outfield. Riley Greene, I think, has to make that catch. I haven't gone back and watched it enough to really see, break it down whose fault it was. I was just biting my fingernails as the tying run came to the plate because of that egregious misplay between Zach McKinstry and Riley Greene. But they got the dub. You're right. It would have been nice to see the goose egg up on the scoreboard for how well the Tigers pitched as an entire staff today, because that bullpen was really good for 4 innings as well. Greg Haynes still can't hit very much, but we are winning. Hope Flaherty is good. Yeah, again, you're not going to win a ton of games scoring what they scored 2 last night and 3 tonight. So I get that critique. I get that. But as is life in Major League Baseball, I think you've got a lot of things to complain about and point out. It's not going to be perfect. I said it last night. I mean, they got outplayed in a lot of areas, especially the Rangers certainly were the better hitting team last night, but baseball is such an odd game that you can have nights last night where you just end up on the right side because of one guy finding the seats twice with Jake Rogers. And then tonight you could even make a little bit more, although the offense was a little bit better, but there wasn't any timely hitting. You had Justin Henry Malloy again struggled tonight. I think he's pressing quite a bit at the plate. We'll talk about that a little bit. I had that in my notes for the later portion of the program to talk about, but 6 hits tonight. And again, just with runners in scoring position, 0 for 5, which is, I think, what we can allude to as far as the lack of clutch hitting tonight. You had base runners, but 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position, 5 men left on base. The 1-out triple by McKinstry, got to find a way to get him home in that one. KLE Shreen, who would have thought Skubal and Flaherty might split votes and prevent each other from winning the Cy Young? LOL. Yeah, that's a good problem to have. We'll take it. Absolutely. I still would give the nod to Tarek Skubal over Flaherty, and that's I don't want to take anything away from Flaherty, especially after what he did tonight. But I bookmarked one of the stats that showed how good Tarek Skubal has been. This is insane. So it is the same. It's comparing Tarek Skubal through 12 starts compared to Justin Verlander in 2011 when Verlander was voted AL MVP. Through 12 starts, these are Verlander's numbers, and I didn't even plan on going here, but since we brought up Skubal, Verlander in 2011 through 12 starts was 5-3, okay, and through 86 2/3 innings pitched, he had 76 strikeouts and a 3.12 ERA. Skubal through 12 starts, this is insane, 7-1, 73 innings, 86 strikeouts in 73 innings, 1.97 ERA, and a 0.88 whip, which is good to see. All right. Now, that said, we do love a nice victory for the Detroit Tigers to get above 500 on June 4th. How about that? 3-1 winners over the Texas Rangers, the defending World Series champion Texas Rangers, who fall to 29-32. And I tell you what, they are hurting a little bit here in Arlington, doing some soul searching. And Tigers fans have been there, where you just feel like every game you're fighting an uphill battle because you just can't score any runs. And we don't need to talk all Rangers on this Locked On Tigers postcast, but certainly worth noting how well the Tigers have come into Arlington and imposed their will, especially as a pitching staff, and just shut down this Texas Rangers team. Should have been only 1 run through 2 games, but they get that extra run they get that run in the 9th on the bad play by McKinstry and Greene. Okay, a couple others to get to. Pitching is generally good. Offense generally stinks. We've had that comment before. I think we're running, it's the broken record at this point. There's going to be plenty of nights where we scream into this microphone and we complain and we commiserate as Tigers fans together. But when you're 7-3 in your last 10 and you've won 3 in a row, tonight's just not that night. I mean, I'm not just there. There is no doubt about it, as Chris Collinsworth would say. S Dog says big win, got the series dub. Why did Flaherty only go 5? His pitch count was so low. Yeah, it was at 60. So I can only imagine tightness. Hopefully it's out of, as they love to say in the biz, an abundance of precaution, and that it's nothing serious. Obviously, we'll all be tuned in to Tiger beat writers, even Tigers PR. I would expect some kind of explanation in some capacity of why he was, and I'll use air quotes because I don't want to insinuate anything, because again, we are live and Locked On Tigers postcast right away at the conclusion of the game, which makes it fun because we got our instant reaction out there, but it does not allow for any time to evaluate a situation and get some more information and get the answer. So I'm not going to go down that road. Clee Shreen says deadline is a ways away, but curious what stance is. If team is around 500, still with offensive struggles continue, I'd listen on Torque to Astros for Loper Fido. Yeah, so this is exactly what Jeff Rieger and I were talking about. If you listen to 97.1 The Ticket, that I am of the belief that the pitching staff is good enough to win now, and that we are a bat or two away. And some of it, I think, depends on what Cleveland does and Kansas City and Minnesota, for that matter, because you would think hovering around 500 in June, you wouldn't be as many games out from the division as you are. I think there's 2 prongs to that, to look at what the Tigers do internally as far as their record and whatnot, and what the rest of the division does, because my stance might change a little bit if Cleveland and Kansas City, for that matter, just continue to create that distance between everybody else in the AL Central. But lots of fun stuff to talk about on a Tuesday night. Thanks for staying up late with me on the Locked On Tigers postcast. We will take one quick break, and that's what makes it fun. When you got a good team playing well, there's lots to riff about, there's lots to discuss, and we will continue doing that. I want to dive more into the Jack Flaherty start when we come back. Don't go anywhere. Locked On Tigers postcast, just getting started. Hello, my good friends. Here to tell you about America's #1 sportsbook, and that is FanDuel. FanDuel.com. We love FanDuel because you can win some money, and it makes the cheese a little more binding, if you will. The watching experience that much more enjoyable because it's winner take all time right now. Both the NBA and the NHL are in their finals, and FanDuel is giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own right now. New customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and more. I was looking at some player props for the NBA finals. Jason Tatum is the favorite to win the MVP, and I don't know, I think Luka and even Kyrie, for that matter, might have something to say about it. And even though it's not the sexy matchup, if you will, in the NHL, you've got the game's best. That's never a bad thing with Connor McDavid, and the Florida Panthers trying to avenge their Stanley Cup loss last year at the hands of the Vegas Golden Knights. So all eyes will be on the Stanley Cup finals as well. So like I told you, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150. Let me try that again. That's $100, just making sure you're paying attention. And $50 to bet on spreads, money lines, and player props or more. All you got to do is visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make every playoff shot. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. All right, as we continue to progress through this Locked On Tigers postcast, I want to thank everybody for tuning in on the YouTube for the live edition. If you're catching the audio only version, we appreciate that as well. But either way, do me a favor, subscribe to Locked On Sports Detroit, because like I said, we've got baseball season right now. We'll be doing these throughout the NFL season with Locked On Lions postcast, and into the NBA season with Locked On Pistons postcast. You chop it all up, you put it in a blender, and it is your one-stop shop for all things Detroit sports post-game coverage, because that's what makes it fun and enjoyable. Get your comments out there as well, because that's what I love about the open caller, open keyboard, open mic, whatever analogy you want to use. We are here to discuss all things Detroit sports. Like tonight's 3-1, it should have been 3-0, 3-1 victory over the Texas Rangers. All right. Offensively, Zach McKinstry, your player of the game, with 2 runs batted in on the 2-run homer, also had the triple. Riley Greene, I mentioned, his 11th home run of the season. He had 11 home runs all of last year. Good to see him getting in on the action. And the other part of the offense that I don't want to spend a ton of time on, but Justin Henry Malloy, obviously his second game in the bigs, and it has been a tough start. 0 for 8 to begin his career. Looked like he was pressing a little bit again tonight, struck out the one time, whereas last night, let me make sure. Oh, I'm sorry. He was 0 for 3 last night. So 0 for his first 7, but 2 strikeouts yesterday, 1 more today. So 3 strikeouts in his first 7 at-bats, and still waiting for that big league hit. But I watched his post-game interview yesterday, and it seems like he's got it together between the ears, which is so important in baseball. And he still felt like he was speaking with such enthusiasm, and still might have been on that adrenaline rush getting called up to the big. So I don't think there's anything to fret about yet. And he'll get another chance tomorrow. AJ Hinch has already said he's going to be the designated hitter for every game in this series. So Tigers will go for the sweep tomorrow. Let's talk a little bit about Jack Flaherty. He gets the win, now 3-4 on the season. He goes 5 innings, allowed just 2 hits. And before that, Zach McKinstry it was a perfect time through the order for the first time. You love to see that. And again, it's just a dominating Jack Flaherty performance. Although the 5 innings with just 60 pitches, he did not give up a run, struck out 4. A lot of people on X talking about his velocity being down a little bit. And then when you strike out 12 guys per 9 innings, if you don't strike out a bleep ton of guys, people are going to talk. So the fact that he only, and yes, I say that kind of with italics, if you will, only had 4 strikeouts through 5 innings, which is down for him. But 44 strikes of the 60 pitches, he was attacking the zone and continues to be lights out on the mound. So praying it's nothing terrible, and that it was. Again, I don't want to speculate, because more information is going to come out and we're going to have our answer. But we can all agree we are hoping for the best. That's for sure. Now let's talk about that bullpen for a little bit. My goodness, welcome back. Shelby Miller called up today, or I guess returned to the big leagues squad today after the injury. Alex Faedo is a little dicey. Still able to get it done, but he did walk 3 guys in the midst of an inning and 2/3. Not a recipe for success. Didn't come back to haunt the Tigers. So again, not a night where I'm going to scream into the microphone, but a little concerned in that sense that he hasn't. It feels like he's just kind of tinkered on the disaster outing. We haven't got there yet, but it feels like it is painfully looming, if you will. But Shelby Miller, really good. And then Tyler Holton, again, I'm not going to knock him because that he goes 2/3, but that should not have been a hit. It should have been a game over catch by Riley Greene in center field. And then it's a 3-0 win, and we're not even talking about it. I mean, that is little league stuff. But again, I promise, how many times do I have to say this? I promise it's not a scream into the microphone kind of night, but little things like that are going to cost you more often than not. I'm so thankful, and I think the Tigers would all agree, and that they played past it, and Foley came in and got the final out against Wyatt Langford. So it didn't come back to bite them in the you-know-what, but my goodness, my heart was just pounding, and feel bad for everybody around me. I'm just screaming obscenities into the television when something like that happens, because it's just so avoidable, right? And we don't need to continue to pound that point of how bad of a play that was from Riley Greene and Zach McKinstry, but it's just not winning baseball. And that fires me up when you're playing as an organization, you're playing as a team, as well as the Tigers are, to jeopardize it in the 9th inning with 2 outs with a play like that. It's just inexcusable. But thankfully, and I laugh at myself and I say, I'm not going to spend too much time on it. And there I go for 3 minutes talking about how irritated I was seeing, and everybody was. But again, we don't need it. All is well that ends well, and the Tigers got the victory 3-1, make it 7-3 in their last 10, above 500, 31-30, and how about 17-15 on the road. So loved what I saw for 99% of the game, just not at the end here. A couple more comments to get to. Clee Shreen, welcome to the party, Clee Shreen. If I missed you on a couple of postcasts, or if this is your first one, welcome. We so appreciate you joining our Locked On Tigers postcast family. He says he's worried about Carpenter. You yourself have a lumbar stress fracture, 3 of them actually. My back hasn't been the same in 3 years. I'm aligned by learning he has fractures. Yeah, I certainly will never pretend to have any medical knowledge or expertise, but I also read the headline and thought that doesn't sound good. So hopefully, kind of like with the Flaherty thing here, we're hoping for more information and for it to be positive. So other than that, without I'm not minimizing your comment, because I completely agree. I'm a little bit worried as well, but other than hoping for the best, I don't have much to add. Malloy is just tough because his Achilles heel has been strikeouts, even in the minors, and surely that's not likely to get better in the majors. Got to hope he just runs into a few barrels. Yeah, again, I liked, and it's a little thing, but I do think you put a little bit of stock into the way a brand new player in the bigs conducts himself, kind of that, that physical makeup and the body language and the aura that he has. And he seems like a confident kid, and it's one thing for it to progress for a game, for 2 games, and, to get off to a slow start, but hopefully it doesn't turn into the Colt Keith thing where, he's deleting social media and just in his feelings about a lot of stuff like that with extended amounts of slumpage, if you will. So I hope it doesn't get to that. Let's hope he gets that first big league hit tomorrow, busts out of it, and we're seeing him be a threat at the plate and compile that production like he did in Toledo for the Mud Hens. One more comment here from Shreen. Faedo has been so weird. He looks like the best pitcher in baseball for 2 batters, and then looks absolutely lost for 2 hitters. Rinse and repeat. Yeah, he's all over the place. Again, it's one of those hold your breath and hope for the best. And I get a little bit nervous with it, but nonetheless, he got the job done. And to his credit, wasn't always pretty, but he was a part of that excellent bullpen effort of 4 innings. And I know the 1 run, but again, not the bullpen's fault, that last run in the 9th inning. I said I wasn't going to talk about it, so I'm not talking about it. All right, we've got one more segment on tap for us all before we say goodnight. I know it's late in the Eastern time zone, daylight savings, whatever it may be, past 11, but I appreciate everybody staying up late with me. One more segment to go. Don't go anywhere. We tie a bow on it. Look ahead to tomorrow night game, not a day game. Don't get tripped up on that. We'll talk about it here in just a moment. Hey, fired up to tell you about eBay Motors, because passion, drive, and patience. That's the formula for winning championships, and it's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance: superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and so much more. So whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, It's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins like Jack Flaherty did tonight for the Tigers, and keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions do apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. All right, final segment on the program. Appreciate everybody tuning in. If you haven't yet, go ahead and like the video, share it with a friend, and subscribe to Locked On Sports Detroit so you don't miss a thing. And if you really, really like what you see, go ahead and maybe leave a comment, and also maybe set your alerts or your notifications so that you always know when we are on the air. Shreen said, Hinch just said on the postgame that Flaherty has back tightness. Yes, I was trying to, you guys might see this a lot, but I will try to glance down from time to time while maybe doing an ad read, while maybe reading a comment, while trying to collect my thoughts. There's a lot going on here, and I just saw a couple of tweets about what's going on with Flaherty, just some back tightness, and again, hopefully he is okay. Evan Petzel from the Free Press just tweeted out back tightness for Jack Flaherty. Manager AJ Hinch said severity of the injury, I don't know. Okay. All right. That's so we've got back tightness and we don't know the severity. So now we're all on the same page. How about that, sports fans? You gotta love it. So one more game tomorrow, Tigers and Rangers, the final game of the season series. The Tigers can go ahead and take that season series if they were to win tonight. Both teams have won 3 games, with the Rangers taking 3 of 4 earlier this season and the Tigers taking the first 2 of this series. So that said, I look at tomorrow's game, and for the Tigers, and everybody just bear with me, it's a Kenta Maeda start. That sounds mean. It shouldn't sound mean. It'll be okay. I am confident Jose Urena will go for the Rangers. He's been a little bit all over the place. Record not good, 1-5, but he's pitched better than what that record would show. He's also come on in relief a couple of times. The righty, Jose Urena will go for the Rangers, and Kenta Maeda for the Tigers. Remember, 8:05 game. It's not a day game, even though it is getaway day. The Tigers are off Thursday before the weekend series against the Brewers. And I believe, I want to make sure they are home. Yes, they're home Friday, Saturday, and Sunday against the Brew Crew. That Saturday game is at 4:10, Sunday 1:40, and of course Friday at 6:40. Tomorrow 8:05 Eastern Daylight Time from Globe Life Field. I saw a couple other people talking about this. Are the camera angles at Globe Life Field kind of throw off your depth perception a little bit? I honestly think they throw off some of the just the flight of the ball, or what looks like, because I think it was Riley Greene's home run I did not think was gone, and then there was a couple of long fly balls to center that I thought were gone. So I could be the only one that's maybe it's just my eyes. I need to get my eyes checked, but at the end of the day, hey, it was a good game for the Tigers today. Don't forget to check out the Locked On Sports free 24/7 sports streaming channel, program for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. And your team is above 500 in the month of June 4th to be exact, 31-30. They can go for the sweep tomorrow against the defending World Series champion Texas Rangers. Kenta Maeda on the bump. And Shreen says all the homies are tired of Kenta Maeda. I think they are too. Yeah, and it's going to sound like I'm picking on him. I promise I'm not. He just, we gave him the 2-year deal instead of Flaherty, didn't we? Okay. But again, tonight's a positive night because the Tigers get the win. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Always a pleasure to be on the air with you. In all seriousness, never take these opportunities for granted. Detroit, 31-30 on the season, 17-15 on the road. 3-1 winners over the Texas Rangers. Subscribe to Locked On Sports Detroit. Tell a friend about it and join us after tomorrow's game. And we will hopefully be talking about a Tigers sweep. Nonetheless, it's been, let's go ahead and call it a good road trip so far. But boy, ending a 7-game road trip 5-2. I can feel it. I can taste it. Let's hope it happens. All right, everybody, have a wonderful night. Thanks so much for tuning in. As always, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time on Locked On Tigers Postcast. Have a wonderful evening.